Today, we'll go over the best Netflix movie, Sweet Girl. Keep an eye out for big spoilers ahead. Ray, played by Jason Momoa, his wife Amanda, portrayed by Adria Arjona, and their daughter Rachel, played in a younger incarnation by Milena Rioso, are saddened by Amanda's cancer diagnosis when the story begins, with a flash forward to Ray on a bridge, being entreated to give himself up. Amanda's condition is rushed through, with the film fast-forwarding to the point where she's hairless and crippled, effectively monitoring the clock in a treatment center. Amanda is qualified for a genetic drug that recently received FDA approval and is significantly less expensive than the name-brand version. But the opportunity is cruelly stolen away when the pharmaceutical company's CEO immediately withdraws it from the market. There are rumors that there was a payoff involved. When a heartbroken Ray calls into a televised interview with the company's smarmy CEO, Simon Keeley, and warns him that he's coming for him, says, "If my wife dies, it's your death sentence." He doesn't try to hide his emotions, and after that, he follows his promise. Amanda dies not long after, and it becomes clear what kind of revenge thriller Sweet Girl aims to be. Ray, who seemed to get away with the death threat without so much as a warning, gets a call from a journalist called Martin Bennett 6 months after Amanda's murder. Bennett claims to have enough dirt on Keeley to pique public interest in his business dealings, including cover-ups, offshore accounts, and receiving bribes to keep Sapiro off the market, among other things. However, if Ray recounts his heartbreaking narrative with his expose, it will have a much greater impact. Bennett is fatally killed by an unknown hitman during the second meeting on a subway train, and Ray and Rachel, who had covertly followed her father to the station, are injured in the resulting panic. Cut to 24 months, Ray is still trying to forget what Bennett said to him. In other news, up-and-coming Senator Diana Morgan announces a partnership with BioPrime to deliver an inexpensive healthcare to the public and clean out the rot in Pittsburgh. Ray infiltrates a charity event and confronts Keeley, forcing him to accept the damages he's done to so many people, despite Rachel's assurance that Bennett's charges were all part of a dead-end scheme. During the argument, Keeley claims innocence in Bennett's murder and reveals that he is only BioPrime's face. While Keeley admits to the occasional authorizing a bribe, he actually reports to Chairman Vinod Shah, which gives Ray a new target. He and Keeley fight, and Ray suffocates him and departs the scene after dispatching a bodyguard. He retrieves Rachel and, realizing that the cops are closing in on him, flees the scene. Meanwhile, back in the city, FBI officers Sarah Meeker and John Rothman discover Ray's earlier on-air warning to Keeley after receiving a tip from one of his henchmen, and begin their search for him. Ray and Rachel are stopped by the cops on their way back to Pittsburgh, and the former finds himself dashing into a full PNC Park stadium. He makes it all the way to the top of the roof, which is the opening scene of the film, causing Meeker to try to talk him down. Ray growls, "I don't know who you are," to which Meeker responds, "Yes, you do. We've been talking." "Wait a minute, what? Your father was a decent individual. You aren't him." She goes on as a montage replays different scenarios we've already witnessed. But this time, Rachel defeats the bad guys instead of Ray. That's all there is to it. We haven't been following Ray the whole time. Instead, we've been following Rachel? Ray died on the subway that terrible day, and Rachel was so traumatized by the experience that she spent the next 2 years of her life planning her revenge. We see Rachel in all of her magnificence, now that the great twist has been untwisted. Despite being semi-conscious inside an ambulance and having an FBI agent as her new best friend, she manages to break out and finish what she has begun. Here she is at a rally for politician Diana Morgan, whose corruption was a major factor in her mother's denial of care while she was ill. Anyway, the hitman from earlier in the movie reappears in the throng, as he has promised. But Rachel is able to see him off by stabbing him to death in the fountain, before heading to Morgan's office. Morgan never vetted Amos's review on RateMyKiller.com before any money changed hands, and since he happens to be the world's sloppiest hitman, Rachel eventually, finally, meets Morgan and learns why she abandoned her entire healthcare for all stance. She succeeds in pushing Morgan to reveal her role in the BioPrime plot, confessing that she took a bribe and ordered the hit on the Vice journalist that resulted in Ray's murder. Rachel appears to be about to slice Morgan's throat, but instead, she gives the FBI a video of the confession, puts on some makeup, and flees on a plane, to a place where she shared wonderful memories with her late mother and father, while Morgan is imprisoned. And that's how the movie Sweet Girl ends. Sweet Girl ends with Rachel boarding a plane and departing for the rest of the world, leaving her unpleasant memories behind. Even though both Ray and Amanda are no longer alive, it's unclear whether Rachel has any other family with whom she may reside for the time being, or what lies ahead of her. There appears to be plenty of opportunity for a Sweet Girl sequel, exploring Rachel's life as an adult, or following her journey as she carves out a new existence for herself. And we'll have to wait for that. But in the meantime, tell us what you thought of the Sweet Girl explanation.